Second speaker today is Gadi Haimov. He's a guide, he's a tour guide in the Kfar Etzion, tourist school. And he lives in Kochba with his family, and every Shabbat that he can, he comes here with his family by foot. He crosses the wadis, and he comes to Is Barakova to spend Shabbat here. Every single Shabbat that he's here, he gives a shiur about Eretz Israel that's related to the weekly portion of the Torah, Parashat Shavua. And today we're in Lag BaOmer. He'll talk to us about Barakuhova, and he'll talk to us about the connection between Barakuhova and this region. I think I was introduced already. I'm Gadi from the Gush Etzion Field School. Let me just say a few words about Barakuhova and Gush Etzion and the connection between the two. So again, we had a terrible tragedy took place last night. We're talking about 44 people who were killed in Meron, and I actually did not shave this morning. I could have. It's Lag BaOmer. You're allowed to shave. I decided to delay it a little because of what happened. And again, there is a dilemma. Should one add to mourning or not? It's not something new, because when the state of Israel was established, it was again in the shadow of the Shoah, of the Holocaust, which was a terrible trauma for the Jewish people. And there were actually deliberations whether to add a day of mourning. 2 weeks or so ago, we had Holocaust Remembrance Day. But again, before that, there were all kinds of discussions that took place. Not everybody agreed, because many people claimed, and still do, that everything is just a continuation of the same tragedy. Which tragedy? The destruction of the temple. And that's why the Yom HaKaddish HaKlali, the General Kaddish Day, was actually put on the 10th of Tevet, because there are communities that don't accept to have another day of Holocaust remembrance. So they added it to another fast day. So again, I'm mourning. This is part of Sfirat HaOmer, right? 24,000 disciples of Rabbi Akiva died. And those, again, Rabbi Akiva said about Barakuhova that he's like a Messiah. He's like a king. And Rabbi Yehuda was somebody else who was born at the beginning of the rebellion of Barakuhova. So that same person who was Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was born during the time of the rebellion of Barakuhova, and Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who actually finalized the Mishnah, he actually thought that we have to do away with Tisha B'Av. He wanted to cancel the fast of Tisha B'Av. Why? Because he thought, again, that he was Messiah, and that there was new things were coming, new good things were happening. This was a new era, and other Chachamim did not accept what he said. But the beauty of Rabbi Yehuda's time was, during his time, there was a machloket, meaning people could dispute, people could have differences of opinion, and it was all done respectfully. Now let me just talk about the Barakuhova Rebellion, and let's talk about Gush Etzion. Okay, Barakuhova was again in the Meron area. So let's first understand geographically what we are talking about until again the presentation comes up. I say that there is a connection between Barakuhova and Gush Etzion. So let's talk about Gush Etzion. Where is the Gush Etzion area? If I say to you, can you recommend a restaurant in Gush Etzion? There's Burgers Bar in Efrat, there is Rosa. Then I could say to you, wait, is Efrat in Gush Etzion? It's in the local council of Gush Etzion, true? Okay. So Gush Etzion and Barakuhova. So we talked about Barakuhova, right? You all know the story of Barakuhova and the lion. But people say it's actually a new story, but they actually forgot to say that in one of the caves of Barakuhova, we'll mention they actually found like some sort of a signet stamp or okay? It's basically, it was a delivery sort of a stamp that they used back then on a closed envelope. Again, people use stamps or seals just to make sure that nobody opens your letter. And if you find such a seal, you don't find a letter with it, right? Because, again, it has to be baked, right? It has to be hardened. Now, what seals are actually preserved? Those that were actually burnt. So again, they found all these, they found a few artifacts. Again, you can see this image on that signet. It was found in a cave, and you could see Barakuhova fighting a lion. So this may be some sort of a basis for the stories that Barakuhova rode lions and he was this huge hero. Okay, we talked about Gush Etzion, so take a look at this map. Look, this is Gush Etzion. Okay, this is the Hebron area. You know, Hebron is Hebron. But again, on the north, we have Jerusalem, the Benjamin area, and the Judah local council. In the south, I have, the scrolls now. Where was the rebellion? In Beitar, in the area. Where the Barakuhova Rebellion, we did find a little cave in Beit Rimon area, but he probably did not take part in the rebellion. Where is Rabbi Shimon's grave? You all know, right? In Meron, right? Where is the grave of Barakuhova? Nobody knows. But who was his rabbi? Rabbi Akiva. And where is he buried? The rabbi in Tveria. So true, after the Barakuhova Rebellion, okay, they basically evacuate the Jews from Judea. Only way after the Rome period, Jews came back to the Judea. Okay, and again, Rabbi Shimon was always up north, but Rabbi Akiva was moved up north after Jews were evacuated. So if I were to look for the Lag BaOmer story, where should I be looking for it? I'm asking you, where should I look for the Lag BaOmer story? Because we actually have two stories in Lag BaOmer. Okay, why do we light bonfires in Lag BaOmer? So again, these are the two stories that I'm going to tell you now. The first story, just a minute, there's a story of Rabbi Shimon up there. The second story is the Barakuhova story. Okay, Rabbi Shimon, the Zohar, the light of the Torah. The Barakuhova story, it was at the end of the mourning period. There was a big victory by Barakuhova. That's how you do the bow and arrow. So there are actually two focal points. Okay, what should be again the point of pilgrimage? Where should people go to? Depends who you ask. Again, people who actually raise the banner of Torah go to Meron. But those who raise the banner of Rabbi Akiva goes down here. Are we the disciples of Rabbi Shimon or Rabbi Akiva? Now, most of you, of course, are disciples of Rabbi Akiva. So I would actually tell you to actually, come up and go on a pilgrimage to this area, because this is Rabbi Akiva's center. And this is the competition that I keep talking of. But as you know, it's the same competition of which it was said that they did not respect each other. Meaning, okay, if we do not respect each other, that's what happens. That was the plague. But if we do respect each other, we can meet at some middle point. That has to be the aspiration. So let's talk about our story, okay, in the Gush Etzion area. Okay? Again, this is sort of this focal point, the center point of the rebellion, Beitar. Beitar, we have so many stories about Beitar in our sources. So let's again talk about the complex story called the Barakuhova Rebellion. When we talk about it, very generally, people, might say it could be the Migdal Eder area. Again, it could be based on a text from the Bible or historical text. And then I try to look for context to see, again, maybe we can find names of places close by, places, maybe there is a description of some sort of scenery that reminds me of something, maybe certain people that are described there. That's how I try to locate or identify an area. Another thing to do is to try and look at archaeological findings. So if I have a good historical story, and inside the historical story I have some sort of a context, and I find good artifacts nearby, then that's easy. So Jerusalem is really a piece of cakes, because I have all these descriptions of Benjamin and David and all these historical verses, and I can actually, there are findings attesting to all of that. And I also have the grave of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai up north, and I have the names that are written. There is a site there that actually preserved the different names that were mentioned, the archaeological findings. I have the entire picture. What about Barakuhova? Here we have a problem, because there are hardly any historical findings about it. What about the Gemara? And the Gemara has a great story. Okay, even more than a good story. You know, the Gemara is a great halachic book, but you have to understand that it's not a history book. Okay, you can't read the Talmud as a history book. You're missing the point. You might use the Gemara, the Talmud. You can base yourself on it sometimes, but again, the Talmud has a message. Sometimes you will not find the images. You might not even find the places, because the message still exists. In a history book, it's not a message. It's not trying to convey a message. If it does convey a message, it's no longer a history book. So let's move forward. Okay, so what findings do I have? I have one historian, Eucassius, Roman historian, who wrote 80 volumes of an encyclopedia, the entire history of Rome. Okay, surely Barakuhova will be mentioned in those, okay, in one of those 80 volumes. With, again, a little more than 40 volumes we have in full. Some others are not in full, they're partial. And others, again, we have some summaries of some. And in one of those summaries, there is a mention, there's a very short description, but it's very clear actually. And what's described there is a rebellion. Again, not a small rebellion, but a big scale rebellion. And he describes that people hide in caves. And then he describes two legionaries fighting to try and suppress the rebellion, and after many casualties on both sides, with a lot of damage to Rome, and even proves it by an end of the end of a letter that was written to some sort of a Caesar, that one of the commanders wrote, "We are all doing okay." I mean, that's usually what was written, and then in the letter describing the rebellion, that ending was not mentioned, meaning we could understand from what was written there that things did not end well. Okay, and then those divisions that were sent to the land of Israel do not appear again, so we can understand what happened to them. They disappeared. So this is Beitar. What happens? There is a description that Beitar was demolished. It was destroyed. Here it is. Look, this is the real Beitar. This is a historical Beitar. You could see it's not built. It's still in ruins. You could see there's a little area with a tiny little wall that was found. It's from the times of the Hashmonaim. But again, this is the Beitar, the historical Beitar area. You could see ruined, not built. And this is the Beitar of Barakuhova. So again, this is the focal point. This is the central point of the rebellion. And again, after the big rebellion failed, there was again the Barakuhova Rebellion. And after Jerusalem fell, it was the end of the rebellion. They continued for a little while, but that was the end of that. Barakuhova actually ran. He ran to the edges. What does it mean? He actually went to the Gush. He fled to the Gush, Etzion area. I took my kids to the caves, to the Barakuhova caves, where candles were found and other artifacts. And next to the Dead Sea, we have some more caves that were found. Okay, and the scrolls were found in various caves in the Dead Sea area. Okay, the caves over here in this area were actually next to the Shvela, next to already close to the Judean lowlands, the Shvela. That's where they were found. There were actually these caves that waited for them once they fled and they wanted to, run away as far away as possible on the borders, and they ran there. And again, those in the Dead Sea were other options that they ran to. There's even a mikveh that were found. You can see that it was excavated. They were there for between a year or two, something like that. So these are actually the two sort of edges of Gush Etzion, on the east near the Dead Sea and on the west near the Shvela. Okay, we even have some, again, findings down south. Again, if I talked again as a rebellion, as a kind of a stream, some sort of a stretch between the west and the east, with Beitar in the middle, and also down south, where I just pointed out, okay, south of Hebron. So where is Barakuhova from? We said Rabbi Shimon is up in the Galilee, and in one of the sources it says that Barakuhova is from Beit Kuzeva. Okay, it's some people identified with Be'er Asfar. What is that? That's actually in the Gush. Okay, Be'er Asfar, this is the Asfar well, was identified in the Gush. This is where he was born. We don't have too many caves in the mountains. I mean, maybe this was some sort of a hidden cave to hide in. It was found. This is the entrance. It was excavated. We actually found different artifacts from that period in time. Not sure exactly when they date from. Where is it exactly? Next to Meitzad. You know Meitzad? There is this water tower next to the entrance. You turn to the right. It's right outside the fence. That's where it is, okay? And here, I want to, there are so many. We have the Etzion. We have some other findings. I didn't, mention everything. But this is the Arabaya cave. Where is that? It's El Arub. Okay, it's a kilometer from here. Last year during lockdown, remember there was you couldn't leave. There was a limit on the distance from your home. So between Pesach and Shavuot, everybody celebrated like Ba'omer at home. That's a Chanukiah, I think, instead of a bonfire. But I actually went. I was in my kilometer. I was able to go with them to this cave. Okay, we actually went to the Arabaya cave, and again, it's really, he excavated not far from here, and an archaeologist actually went and checked out this cave. He filtered out the soil, and he found things. So again, the connection that we know of Barakuhova is from things that were found in that cave. Sometimes we have some findings from people who have stolen things from caves, and they made that connection from us. Now we have another cave, again, due south of here, a kilometer away, a little more complicated to get to. It needs to be done in correlation with the army. And unfortunately, I don't get there often enough. What could I say? The the local population there isn't very respectful of the cave that I'm talking about, because 5 or 6 years ago, they actually just dumped building waste, and we found dead animals at the entrance of the cave. Again, they haven't really been very respectful of the site. They even blocked certain parts of the cave. They changed things there. Every time I go there, it looks different to me. And I think, our neighbors know exactly what's there and how important it is to us. So they actually keep looking for artifacts. I imagine they do find things every so often. And where can you find the things that they find? In the market, sometimes they sell things for thousands of shekels. But again, what are thousands of shekels? If you can actually write a doctorate on it, it's worth your while to buy these things. So this is again the Arabaya cave. The second thing is this kind of a key. It's called the Kochba key. It's mentioned in the Talmud, whether you can actually carry it on Shabbat. What does this mean? What is this kind of key? This, the Kochba key, basically means that it has all these pinnacles. You actually use them to lock the house, okay? And you need the exact piece that would actually be inserted into those holes in the door in order to open the house. So this is again a very, one of the original keys that existed. So sometimes when you say that again, I actually found this in the Hebron area, again across from my house. These were the keys that we used back then. Let's continue another interesting story that I can share with you. This is called, this is one of the Barakuhova letters that were found in the Judean desert. Okay, you could see this is the manuscript, and of course it was in Aramaic, and this is the translation. To Judah, the son of Menashe from Kiryat Arbaya, I sent 2 donkeys to you with 2 people with Yonatan, son of Baya, for them to buy lulavim and etrogim. And I'm sending you lulavim and etrogim, and I would like to receive from you hadassim and aravot. And please send it to me because there's a big army all around. And again, this letter was addressed to Arbaya. Was it really sent? We don't know. It was found with some other letters that were probably sent to somebody in that region. From again, Kiryat Arbaya is basically where we are now. This is basically a letter that was sent from the Barakuhova caves to this area. What is Barakuhova asking for in this letter? He's asking for hadassim and aravot, and he says that he's sending back lulavim and etrogim. Okay, a businessman. Okay, it's a businessman. Not only a businessman, because Barakuhova wasn't a religious man, by the way. Okay? He wasn't necessarily a religious man, so I mean that's the image that we have of him. But yet, look at this. He says to his warriors, this is the 6th year of the rebellion, something like that. And again, there are some other letters that tell and give different descriptions. But look what he's asking for lulavim and etrogim and hadassim and aravot. But there's another geographical point here, because here in this area, he's saying that he has aravot, he has willow trees, and he also has etrogim and lulavim. Why did I mention it? I mean, what about citrus fruit? They can deal with heat, because unless you give them water, okay, in down south, again, in the caves, in the Dead Sea area, of course, we have citrus trees, but again, here, they don't have enough water. So hadassim need the cold. So this is the area for the hadassim, the mountain, and next to the Dead Sea is where crops that need hot climate can be grown, so then we can understand this exchange. Another interesting anecdote, that when Rabbi Shimon is up in the north, and here we have another Rabbi Shimon. Up there is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and here is Rabbi Shimon Bar Kochba. And what I said before, when these 2 fires sort of join, when I said I want everybody to meet in the middle, they're both Rabbi Shimon, by the way. So when Barakuhova is asking for the aravot and hadassim, how must these be sent to him? Okay, 2 and 3, right? You need 2 aravot and 3 hadassim, right? Okay, let's say 100 aravot, 150 hadassim. That should be the ratio, right, between aravot and hadassim. Are you saying no? Why? Because according to Rabbi Akiva, look at the ratio. Okay, this is Rabbi Akiva says 1 and 1. 1 and 1, that is how you take the Arba'a Minim. So again, this was again before Rabbi Yehuda, of course, finalized the Mishnah. But I imagine they probably used the right, this 1:1 ratio with 1 Arava and 1 Hadas. Okay, we can actually prove, whether it was this method or the left method. So let me show you the proof of what I'm saying. Look, these are the coins that David Amit found in the caves, okay? You can actually see, what is this? Can you tell me what is this? What is this? It's a pomegranate? Actually, no, it's not a pomegranate, as you may think. This is a etrog. This is actually the 4 minim of Sukkot. Okay, look, arba'ata minim. Okay, this is what is on one side of the coin. I think there is a statement here. Look, the 4 minim, Sukkot, going up to Jerusalem, that was their aspiration, to do Aliyah L'Regel to Jerusalem. So again, this becomes a prayer later on. One of the first things that, again, we say this in the Shacharit is, we ask, where is Jerusalem? Where is Jerusalem? Okay? We always have to pray towards Jerusalem. Again, our faces are always turned towards Jerusalem. So what am I saying? I'm saying that Barakuhova had his heart turned towards Jerusalem, and we are always turning towards Jerusalem. We're always facing Jerusalem. Let me just add something. We have to think to ourselves, again, where must we be on Lag BaOmer? Where Barakuhova maybe was killed, and he was killed in this area. By the way, I do give tours. I do give trips. I am a guide in this area. But again, we always have to face Jerusalem as Barakuhova did. There are so many roads in Israel, by the way. Road 6, the highway, is not just a highway from south to north. It's even a political statement. Do you know what it's called? Do you know what Road 6 is called? It's called the Rabin Way. The Rabin Way. Is this a political statement? Of course it is. Roads are always political statements, okay? It's not just a road, not just transportation. Let's take again Kvish Alon. Okay, Alon Road, it's a political statement. It's called the Alon Road. It's not just a road that takes you from one point to another. We talked about the Jordan Valley before, right? What do you call the Jordan Valley Road? It's called the Road 90, but it's called Gandhi Road. Gandhi Road. I was so happy because actually, so when you sign up, there's a new name for this Road 60. And I'm sure it's a statement as well. Did you see the new sign up on Road 60? Look. It's called the it's called the Lev Yehuda Road, the heart of Judea. Again, it's called Rabbi Levinger, named after Rabbi Levinger. Again, the Road 60 between Hebron and Jerusalem gets the name Rabbi Levinger Road. And again, look what's written at the bottom of the sign, the pioneer, love of Israel. And that's the name of the road, okay? This is how you make a statement. So again, you could see here, this is a sign, this is a post to pilgrimage, to pioneership, to the love of Israel. I would like this to be a symbol for all of us, from Rabbi Shimon all the way down to Rabbi Kochba, from Rabbi Akiva to Rabbi Yehuda, meeting in the middle, joining the two edges, joining different positions. There is, again, the connection between Barakuhova and Gush Etzion, as I pointed out, because of the geography and the findings. If there are any questions, I was happy to be with you. Have rest a good Lag BaOmer. And again, I give tour guides. We know that it's written in the verse that Israel is bought with hardship, but we buy it with our feet. Thank you, Gadi. Just remember that he did promise us a tour to the Arabaya cave. So we will hold you true to that statement. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you for coming to us. Thank you for following us. Thank you to all those who helped support us. Have a Shabbat Shalom. May we hear good news. Goodbye.